Hey, deserving listeners, this is a best of video in which I take all the videos that I did reacting to Ed and Rose on this TV show and condense it down by topic. This one is about after the breakup. So after Ed and Rose broke up, spoiler alert, sorry, what happens and what do we see about Ed's personality and his vulnerabilities? Let's get to the show.
Last night, Rose and I got into a big fight because I didn't tell her before I came on this trip that I don't want more kids. And then this morning, she told me it's over.
So that's not an accurate way that I would put it. The way I would tell it, Ed, is that she was very upset because you repeatedly hurt her, number one. Number two is that the issue of kids, yeah, you didn't tell her that you didn't want to have kids, but you specifically lied by omission, letting her believe that you did want to have kids because she talked about getting married to you and having kids, and you never said anything to the contrary. So it's not just that you didn't mention this one detail. It's much bigger than that. And this points to something is interesting about his personality that would make him spin that in a way in his own mind. In this show, we often see when they're in the conflict, they will say things that we'll go, whoa, yikes. But then when we see the interviews, when they're away from the other person, they've calmed down presumably, and they can say something more differentiated and more understandable.
It just hit me. I don't know, I'm just upset.
I feel really bad for Ed. This tells me that I think for Ed, there is a normal human down there that really cares and loves and is worried about being alone and is lonely and feels worthless sometimes like the rest of us and is chasing love in the way that he feels like he can. And he has defenses that get in the way of him seeing the world the way other people see the world. I think his way of coping with it is to forge ahead as if other people don't have feelings or really apologize and try to get people back in your good graces. And that was the pattern that we saw. It ultimately doesn't work for him. And I'm guessing that if this is a personality trait of his, that he's done this with relationships in the past. Total speculation. There are other women in the past who would say, oh, I can totally relate to what Rose is talking about here. He disregards your feelings and then he acts like nothing happened but he's really nice and apologizes and then he wins you back and then he hurts you again. Why would you do that if you wanted love? Well, there's got to be some schema at play and some overcompensation, some defense that's trying to protect him from something.
Failed. Again.
So there that is, what he said, I failed again. That points to, he's like, I did it again. That this isn't an isolated event.
When I told her I didn't want more kids, that upset her. And I would ask her about her past, Mom, and she didn't want to talk about her past.
Yikes. Wait. It's not that she was upset that you didn't want to have kids. I mean, obviously that was a deal breaker for her. The problem was the whole time while you had been talking online, she was saying she wanted to marry you and have more kids, and you did not contradict that. You did not say, oh, whoa. Yeah, I want to get married to you, but I don't want to have kids with you. I don't want to have any more kids. You just let her believe by not saying anything in the contrary that you were totally on board with having more kids. So that's one thing. And he's not saying that. This is concerning. The other thing that he said right here is she refused to tell me about her past. So he's still hung up on that detail that we thought they had worked out, where he had apologized for. I'm sorry. I totally trust you now. I should never have confronted you about your past boyfriends. I know I'm wrong. And the STD test, I know I'm wrong. Now, on one level, I guess I kind of get it because when you get dumped, which is essentially what happened, you're going to have some interesting perspectives. So maybe he's in that zone, but that's a very concerning thing to say, that he's still hung up on the idea that you have a lot of friends on Facebook and who have you been with and how many men have you had sex with? Not really because of an STD concern, because if it's an STD concern, then you both get tested. But that wasn't what was the main push of his communication, which was, I need to know if you've been with other people and who you've been with. And I know where that comes from. It's controlling, but it comes from a place of worry that you're going to lose someone. And it's totally illogical, right? Let's say she had 50 sexual partners prior to meeting Ed. It doesn't scientifically threaten their relationship. She could have liked a lot of one-night stands. What's wrong with that? And she could then decide, yeah, I'm done with that one-night stand thing, and now I want to be with Ed. It's totally a viable decision. By saying, she refused to tell me about her past. Well, what about the past did she, one, have to tell you about, in terms of like, you're entitled to that information, especially in the way you're asking. And two, what would it have meant? She intuited, look, if I tell him anything about my past, he's going to freak out because he's already jealous of things that he's making up in his mind. So I'm just going to tell him, look, you're the one. And I believed her when she said that. You're the one. You're the one for me. Please trust me. I'm with you. So I don't know. Maybe he'll come around.
And I would ask her about her past, Mom, and she didn't want to talk about her past. And she would clam up. And, she kept telling me, my past is my past, and I don't want to talk about it. So, we got in a big fight. And in the end, it was too much for her, Mom. It was too many. She didn't think I trusted her. Does that make sense?
Okay, so he seems to see it for what it was. It's true. She didn't feel like you trusted her. I wish there was more there, like, I got a problem with jealousy, Mom. I need to work on that. I would be much more encouraged with something like that.
Give yourself a little time and maybe be happy, move forward.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, Ed. That's my best advice I can give you.
God bless you, Mom. You seem like a nice person. That isn't the best advice you could have given him. Moving forward is probably what he's done his whole life and what has caused him, I'm guessing, to have a string of relationships like this. Total speculation. What the best advice you could say is go to a therapist and really investigate your part in those situations. What about your personality? What traumas were at play as you reenacted certain relationships with her? All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining me. Please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.